Good morning. Today is Monday, January 27th. We're in the Lesson Quarterly, God's Love and Justice. Today's title is God is Slow to Anger. God becomes angry at evil because God is love. God is so compassionate and gracious that one biblical prophet even chastised God for being too merciful. Consider the story of Jonah and reflect on Jonah's reaction to God's compassionate forgiveness of the Ninevites in Jonah 4, 1-4. But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he became angry. So he prayed to the Lord and said, Lord, was not this what I said when I was still in my country? Therefore I fled previously to Tarshish, for I know that you are a gracious and merciful God, slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, one who relents from doing harm. Therefore now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. Then the Lord said, Is it right for you to be angry? Apparently he didn't like the Ninevites. What does this tell us about Jonah and about God? Well, Jonah was a prophet of God, and he tried to get away from doing what God told him to do because he didn't want the Ninevites to receive the mercy of God. He wanted the entire city of Nineveh to be destroyed. Jonah's reaction to God's mercy is telling in two primary ways. First, it displays Jonah's own hard-heartedness. He hated the Assyrians so much for what they had done to Israel that he did not want God to show them any mercy. What a lesson for us. We must be careful to guard against this same attitude, however understandable it may be. Of all people, those who have received the grace of God should recognize unmerited grace and thus be willing to extend grace to others. Secondly, Jonah's reaction reinforces how central God's compassion and grace are to his character. So familiar was Jonah with God's mercy that precisely because God is gracious and merciful and slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, Jonah knew that the Lord would relent from bringing judgment against Nineveh. God deals justly and mercifully with all peoples and nations. The Hebrew phrase translated slow to anger or long-suffering could be literally translated long of nose. Interesting. In Hebrew idiom, anger was metaphorically associated with the nose, and the length of the nose metaphorically images how long it takes for one to become angry. References to God as long of nose then convey that God is slow to anger and long-suffering. While it does not take long for humans to become angry, God is exceedingly long-suffering and patient, and bestows grace freely and abundantly, yet without justifying sin or turning a blind eye to injustice. Instead, God himself makes atonement for sin and evil via the cross so that he can be both just and the justifier of those who believe in him. That's Romans 3:25-26. Discussion question. Have you ever failed to show mercy or grace to someone who has wronged you? Yeah. Translation. Has anyone ever driven in traffic? How can you best remember what God has done for you so that you can become more gracious to others in response to the abundant grace God has shown you? Yeah. Just keep it in mind. And how do we show the mercy and grace without giving license to sin or enabling abuse or oppression? Again, just keep it in mind. Just continue, just meditate on that. Continue in remembering how God has been merciful to you, and that you should therefore be merciful to others. All right, that's about it for today. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.